So the big night, UFC 291, is in the books in Salt Lake City. So, what does it mean for the winners and what does it mean for the losers of that event? What has been going on in the world of MMA this week that's newsworthy? I am Burt Green and this is the Burt Locker, and this is just a show where I like to look at all things MMA. Obviously I do my preview shows as well, but this is not that. This week I am looking mostly at the events of UFC 291. So, in a nutshell, Salt Lake City, they get treated, man. They get really treated. The Salt Lake City cards you can't miss. You've got to remember the last one was Usman versus Edwards, where Edwards uncorked that kick. That was a fantastic event as well. Absolutely brilliant. It seems like they just have really good nights of fights. This was no exception. My standouts on this card, Kopylov was absolutely fantastic. What an absolute beast that dude is. Go back and watch his head kick on Ribeiro. It's picture perfect. It's so perfect. One of the cleanest knockouts I've ever seen. One of the cleanest head kicks I've ever seen, honestly. Absolutely brilliant. Go back and watch that one. Kopylov versus Ribeiro. I believe it was on the prelims, but well worth going back and watching that scrap. Don't get me wrong, Ribeiro was really trying to take his head off as well. It was a decent scrap. But Kopylov, he's somebody that I really have my eye on in that division. He's really very, very good. Bonfim, we all saw the hype of him going in and we all thought he would do exactly what he did, which was a very early guillotine. No surprises there, but the hype train keeps rolling, so keep an eye on Bonfim. Tony Ferguson, he was looking good until the eye poke. Because the thing is, so we all know what happened. Tony Ferguson got arm triangled in the last round, and that's now his 6th loss in a row. And after the fight, he's kind of alluded that he said that he thought the eye poke was intentional. Now, I don't think it was intentional, but did it change the fight? I would argue, yeah, it probably did, honestly. Because the problem is you're in a no-win situation there. If you say no, I can't continue, like all the keyboard warriors are out there calling you a wuss, saying that you should continue the fight. But you continue the fight, and that was a bad eye poke. Look at that, right? His finger is right in his eye. That's a bad eye poke. I don't even care if you've had 5 minutes to recover. Your eye is not okay after that. Not for a good long while. I think it's a really strong argument for the notion that a point should be taken, whether inadvertent or not. You have poked that guy's eye halfway to the back of his skull. Do you know what I mean? And that is a foul, and that has changed the way that guy can fight. He can't see out of that side now, not really. Do you know what I mean? You're still going to be blinking out, you're still going to be compromised. Yeah, you're not legally blind in it, but it changes the fight. I think points should start getting taken at that point, because, look, inadvertent or not, it changes the fight. Bottom line, or just allow eye pokes. One of the two. Do you know what I mean? Or we'd see some horrible... No, don't allow eye pokes. I'm a bit funny about eyes. Could you imagine how grim it would get if eye pokes were legal? Especially on the ground. Oh my God. People just gouging eyes out. That would just thumbs right to the... Oh, no. No. I'll take that back. Don't legalise eye pokes. But do maybe consider taking a point, regardless of intent, for the first eye poke. I think people would take more care with their weapons if they took a point as standard every single time. Just a thought. But, I don't think that Bobby Green looked like he was particularly good out there, in all honesty. Like, Tony Ferguson was well in that fight. And actually, before he got poked in the eye, I thought it was going all Tony's way. And, yeah, it's just another heartbreaking loss for Tony Ferguson. And, what does he do from here? I don't know. I just don't know anymore. Tony Ferguson is the kind of guy who would counter a 12-fight win streak with a 12-fight losing streak. And he's halfway there. So, good luck to him. Derek Lewis, I bet on him, and I wasn't super confident because his opponent was good. DeLima's very good, actually, and he's got that kind of style that we've seen Derek Lewis struggle with in the past, where he rushes in just a little bit quicker than Lewis. But man, we might have a new mythical fighter here. You know, we had Blonde Brunson in the past, who was undefeated for a good long while. We've now got Derek Lewis with abs. Watch him at the weigh-ins. He's got abs. He's been working out. He's been training very, very seriously. And he's now hitting people with flying goddamn knees. Yeah, that's right. Flying knee. First thing he did. And then he beat the crap out of De Lima and got the 14th knockout in his UFC career, setting a new record, taking it back from Matt Brown. What can you say? He then took his shorts off. He did the DX sign. He was really funny in the post-fight interview. And he's just very, very genuine. He's very real. And that's what I like about Derek Lewis. He's the last of a dying breed. And I want him to continue. The UFC have to re-sign him. I thought it was a travesty that initially he was on the prelims anyway. Thank God one of the Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Pereira fight fell out, and it meant you had Derek Lewis as the fight before the co-main event. That's where Derek Lewis should be on a card, by the way. Derek Lewis is a decent name. He puts exciting fights on. People will buy a ticket to see Derek Lewis in a main event. At least I will. Any MMA fan who knows anything about like Derek Lewis's style and how much fun he can be to watch and what his character is would pay for a ticket to go and see Derek Lewis. And the fact that he was on the prelims, not even the prelim headliner, I thought was actually criminal. But the right thing happened in the end. He also got that terrific knockout. And he said in his post-fight interview, that's the last fight in his contract. And it's just how nice he was. He was like, look, I would like another UFC contract, but if not, it is what it is. You know, I like that. Joey, he's just very real about it. He wants another contract. Look, the UFC, I think they're going to offer him a pretty good number because he's worth it. He sells a lot of T-shirts, I should imagine. He moves the needle. Derek Lewis moves the needle. And yeah, he moved his knee right into De Lima's face as well, which was absolutely fantastic. Top draw entertainment, that. Jan Blachowicz, he against Alex Pereira. Look, it was a close fight. A little bit uneventful for a lot of it. I don't think either man covered themselves in glory there, if I'm totally honest. I thought Jan, he looked pretty good in the first round, but if Pereira's grappling is so bad, then how come Jan couldn't finish him when he had a body triangle and had his back for like 3 solid minutes? He should have got the finish there because he obviously used a lot of energy because Jan Blachowicz looked very tired. Don't get me wrong, Pereira was also very tired. He probably just had a slightly better poker face. Honestly, look, it was a close fight. Jan Blachowicz has been saying about how it was a robbery. It wasn't a robbery. Nowhere close to a robbery. I don't think either man's stock went up necessarily. It's one of those fights. Sometimes you have these fights where, you know, you have a winner and a loser, but both fighters' stocks go up exponentially just because of how good of a fight it is. That fight, honestly, I feel like they both lost a little stock. If I'm being totally honest, I'm a big fan of Jan Blachowicz, but maybe it was the altitude. He just looked exhausted after the first round. Pereira wasn't exactly trying to go in for the kill. It wasn't like the killer Pereira that we're used to down at middleweight. Maybe his power doesn't transfer as well as we thought, although he's still gigantic. Even at light heavyweight, you compare him to Jan Blachowicz is supposedly the bigger guy. He's not. Pereira was huge. Pereira is a giant. How did he ever make middleweight, man? Either way, and even with that advantage, I don't think he didn't look particularly great. I think Jamal Hill beats Pereira and Jan with relative ease, if I'm totally honest. And who knows? Who knows who's going to be taking it? Because they kept on calling Jamal Hill the champion still. I thought he'd vacated. They referred to Jamal Hill as the champion several times on the broadcast. So has he vacated the belt or not? I'm slightly confused. And surely Jiri Prochaska, if he's ready to go, he should get first crack at a vacant title. But who do you put him against? Maybe the winner of Ankalaev and Johnny Walker's now been booked. That's an interesting one. Maybe you put him against the winner of that. Who knows? Either way, then you move on to the main event, and Derek Lewis, he might have set a new knockout record, but there is only one undisputed short adjusting champion, and that man is Dustin Poirier. Because, oh my God, first round alone, he must have adjusted his shorts at least 20 times. A new drinking game. Every time Dustin Poirier adjusts his shorts, take a shot. you'll be dead after the first round. Dead. Dead, I tell you. But look, hey, it usually works for him. Look, it was a competitive fight. Obviously, we saw what happened. Gaethje came out in the second round, scored that massive head kick knockout, which was good. I mean, the thing is, he actually blocked the head kick. It was just such a good head kick that it knocked him out. And it was an excellent head kick from Gaethje. Brilliantly done. And, you know, Dustin Poirier was all class at the end. It was a great main event. It was a bit weird with the BMF title because I don't think that it was a BMF fight. I really don't. I don't have a problem with the BMF title, you know, because it's supposed to be, you know, the baddest motherfucker in the game, right? Although the UFC broadcast still call it mother effer, which drives me nuts. If you're gonna have a belt like where everyone knows it's for the baddest motherfucker, apparently, just say it. Just say the word, or have a different belt name, for God's sake. Anyway. I feel like the baddest motherfucker is like, he's like a Nate Diaz. He's like a Jorge Masvidal. It was more about their character than their fighting style, I think. Like, those guys will throw down any time. If you're in a street, in a bar with them and you look at them the wrong way, they might fight you, right? Dustin Poirier ain't doing that. Justin Gaethje ain't doing that. They're too busy at their charity drives and their soup kitchens and whatever else they do because they're lovely guys, right? Absolute savages in the octagon, but they're lovely guys. The BMF title, it should be for somebody who's a little bit fucking crazy, man, who might pull a switchblade out of his shorts at any minute. You know, that's what the baddest motherfucker like means to me. Like, maybe they should call it a different thing, like, you know, Savage in the Octagon title, like the SIO title or whatever, because that's what Gaethje and Poirier are. They are savages in that cage. Not disputing that. Right? Their fighting style is fantastic and they're just pure warriors, hard as nails. Too nice to be called the baddest motherfucker though, both of them. And, you know, that ain't it. That ain't a bad motherfucker. And the whole thing was a bit cringe. You know, Jorge put the belt on Gaethje's shoulder. It was just weird. It was just a weird look. It was just very weird. But yeah, so Gaethje, obviously, he's got to get the winner of Charles versus Islam. He must do. And I'll be interested to see. I'd like to see him fight Islam Makhachev, actually, because, let's be fair, Islam Makhachev ain't Khabib. And I feel like Volkanovski might have pulled down the air of invincibility just a little bit. So my bets were back to their terrible, terrible form. Really, I mean, really terrible. Tony, what the hell was I thinking? What was I thinking? Was I high? Either way, I did pick correctly on Medic, Lewis, Kopylov, and quite a few of them. I should have had a treble on those three, to be fair, because that was that would have been a much better bet. But yeah, none of my bets came off there. And, well, actually, that's not true. I did have a single on Medic by knockout, but that was only a 4-1 shot, so I didn't make very much on there. I think I mitigated my losses. I don't think I covered my losses. So yeah, bets, #terrible. Keep those odds long and those bets terrible. That's what I always say. So, yeah, then we'll have a look into the news. If you could do, yeah, if you enjoy this content, just hit subscribe right now. Just hit subscribe. Don't even think about it. Because look, if you want to hit the bell notification, because I do a lot of fight previews. If you want to know when those have landed, just, you know, hit the bell notification. It will let you know. I do fight previews, casuals guides, where you get all the information for every fight on the card, and I try to do it in under 20 minutes, so you get a nice quick video that arms you with a lot of information for the upcoming events. I also do my terrible bets videos, which are a little bit more fun, a little bit more lackadaisical, because I'm putting on so I like to keep the odds long, the stakes low, and the bets terrible, so therefore some of the bets really are terrible. Although a few of my accumulators have been pretty close recently, so they've been a lot of fun. Either way, we have a lot of fun on the channel, so subscribe. It's a good time, all right? So what are we going to do with Tony Ferguson? I mean, if he doesn't want to retire, I say don't force it, because I've got an idea, right? He didn't look completely out of his depth against Bobby Green. I don't think Bobby Green is the best fighter, with the greatest of respect to him. I feel like it was a step down in competition, and Tony Ferguson still lost, which is not great, but he didn't look out of his depth. He didn't get absolutely plastered from pillar to post, did he? That's not what happened. He got eye pokes and then, okay, well, the eye poke definitely didn't help. It definitely didn't help. Thinking who you put him against. I've got it. I don't think they fought previously. I might be wrong on that because I didn't scour the records, but I don't remember it. I don't remember them fighting previously. But what you need is somebody who has a fan-friendly style, a name that people respect, is in a similar age bracket to Tony Ferguson, at the tail end of their career, who they perhaps haven't fought yet. Jim Miller. Get Jim Miller versus Tony Ferguson, slated for UFC 300. You're welcome, Sean Shelby. You're welcome, sir. That's your matchmaking done. Like, you can have that as the prelim headliner. UFC 300, Tony Ferguson, Jim Miller. Make that one happen. Because we want to see Jim Miller at UFC 300. No question. And I wouldn't mind seeing Tony again. And I think that's a fun fight. It's a winnable fight for both of them. Neither of them are being completely outmatched. I like it. Tell me that's not a good fight. Come on, let me know in the comments. Would you watch that fight? Tony Ferguson against Jim Miller? I would. I'd watch that. Watch that in a heartbeat. Conor McGregor's also called out Justin Gaethje. I mean, current form Gaethje kills Conor, right? I mean, maybe not Conor that beat Eddie Alvarez, but that Conor is long dead. Long dead. Lost in a sea of whiskey and human growth hormones, it looks like. And don't get me wrong. Look, you can make an argument that Conor's he can still strike, and Gaethje does get hit, but I just can't see it. Current Conor McGregor, I just don't see him being competitive with any of those guys that are at the top, and I think that's a little bit of a shame because Conor was so much fun to watch in his day, but I think Gaethje murders him. Ugh, and if I was Gaethje, that'd be the fight I'd be chasing, honestly. If you want the money, you want that money. Anyway, so there we go into Troll of the Week. Just one this week, and it's kind of a semi-sad one, but it's just Tony Ferguson. He's caught in that head and down triangle, and it's hold on, brother, I'm not retiring. Because obviously there was that famous thing in the press conference. I think he asked him a question, and somebody started interrupting him, and he said, "Hold on, brother, I'm talking." And it's and it's a reference to that, obviously. So yeah, that's all I've got time for this week. I'll be doing a casuals guide to Sanhagen versus Font. There's some interesting fights on there, not least Jessica Andrade taking on Tatiana Suarez. That's an interesting one. And Zizekwu's also back in the mix at 205. So yeah, that's going to be a fun one to break down. I'll be doing some terrible bets on that as well. Maybe a couple of deep dives here and there. But yeah, if you could just hit subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, keep those eyes long and those bets terrible.